Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on, and the slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Better Off Dead. This is Saturday, October 18th. Thanks for the 2 people who hung out with me late last night for the college football show. I did it at the time I usually do pretty much, but I came back from Louis C.K. last night. Good show. Louis C.K., extremely dark set. Even for him, I thought it was pretty dark. It was funny, though. So I enjoyed the show. Jeffrey, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. We have no baseball today, so it's going to be just hockey on this show. Hopefully, it's going to be pretty quick. I don't have a ton to say, really, to be honest. It's a lot of quick handicapping with me for hockey, I think, for the most part. I'm going to give out 2 plays, even though I don't think they're my strongest hockey plays, but I'm like, we got to have some hockey action today, so let's just do it. They're both somewhat market reads, but I do agree with the market on them, so we're going to go with it and just, I guess, see how it goes. College football, you can go back and watch my analysis on that. I posted the short videos on Instagram for the best bets as well. I'll reiterate the best bets at the end of the show for those. And, and then we'll talk about the hockey best bets here as well. Let me check my audio levels really quick here. Hold on a second. I think my audio's fine, although I just never like my voice, man. Let me get my, hold on, I got to get my NHL plays up in the banners here real quick, because I just did this really quick this morning. Okay, we got, I'm looking right, they're both games that I think are at night, all right. I got to get these in real quick, I apologize. As far as I saw that comment, did I see the Dodgers game? I didn't see it, but I heard what happened in it, which I'm going to talk about baseball for a brief moment in a second once I get these in. All right. Yeah, so baseball, we had the Seattle Mariners won yesterday in the earlier of the 2 games. Seattle up 3-2 in the series now. They did get a home win, but now they do have to go back to Toronto. I think Seattle will get the series, but maybe not. We'll see, because Toronto's going to have Savage pitching in the next game, and we don't know who Seattle's starter is going to be. And Seattle does have Brian Wu on the roster. Wu I think it might have been his first appearance in the playoffs. He pitched in relief yesterday. Bryce Miller actually gave him a pretty good start. Wu pitched pretty well in relief, and I think it was late runs from Seattle that got that one done. I think Suarez had 2 home runs in the game, including a grand slam that basically was the difference of the game, if I remember correctly. I don't know what else to say about that, but Seattle got the win there. Gossman, I think, didn't really pitch terribly in the game, but it was a lot of late runs. It was Toronto's bullpen that really blew the game for Toronto yesterday. And so I think I was correct, by the way, when I said under early in the game. I think did come through. I'd have to check to make sure about that. I mean, obviously that wasn't a play from me. I had a slight lean to Seattle in that game as well. And then I pretty much assumed the Dodgers were going to win, which they did. I mean, that starting rotation is going to be difficult to beat. I think Seattle is the only team that has a rotation that might be able to compete with it. Seattle has a better bullpen than the Dodgers, so if Seattle gets there, they got a shot, and Seattle's offense is at least decent. Of course, I picked Seattle to win the World Series in my bracket over the Dodgers, so we will see. Dodgers, I mean, they're obviously a threat. I mean, their one weakness is their bullpen, which, I mean, it is a fairly significant weakness, but their starting pitching is insane. It's old school. They got those guys back from injury. Like, there's no weakness in their starting. Their starting rotation is unbelievably good. It's, like, one of the best that I've seen. Then, of course, Ohtani. Yeah, Charles, what's up? You were the one asking about the game. Ohtani, I don't even know, like, he had 10 strikeouts as the starting pitcher last night, and he hit 3 home runs. Is that correct? One of the best all-around performances of all time. He's the new Mr. October. I don't know, man. Yeah, I mean, it's insane what that guy's doing, obviously. Lighthearted, what's up? He is a Dodgers fan, so he's enjoying this this talk very briefly. I want to get into the hockey slate today, though. A half hour left of the college football show. Well, thanks for watching, man. It's a 2.5-hour show, so you must be a masochist. Rutgers and South Carolina from Mark Lawrence. Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of those. As I talked about both games last night. They're not my strong opinions, but yeah, I do agree with both of those. Could be louder. I keep getting that, man. I got that when I was on Tower Gang. I got that. Hold on, let me see what I can do. If I turn it up a little bit, though, I can turn it up in. Let me see what my computer volume is on my mic. Let me see. Yeah, it's a little bit low. All right. How about that? Is that better? I've got it in my right ear here too, so I'm trying to gauge it. But if it's a little bit louder, I want to kind of not speak as loudly though. Dodgers are obviously on fire, but the public is going to be all over the Dodgers in the World Series though. You went against the Dodgers for the series in the World Series. They might not win it. We will see. They're going to be the road team, I believe, against either opponent at this point. 6 strikeouts and 1 home run. That would have been a crazy prop for Ohtani. That's way better. Okay, well, thank you, man. Thanks for letting me know. We're going to talk about hockey, and that's all we got today, man. I'm going to hit, some of the better games today. I really don't like this hockey board, man. I'm giving out 2 plays, but it's kind of I don't even know if I want to do that. We have a couple of afternoon games. The afternoon games are actually all kind of decent, except for, sorry, Jeffrey, Florida, Buffalo. I'm not sure if this is a decent matchup or not because I just don't think Buffalo is good, but maybe it will be competitive here. It's a competitive line, at least. Florida's down from -153 to -140 here. 64% of tickets, 71% of the cash on Florida. I believe Jeffrey has a play on Florida in this one, if I'm not mistaken. The cash seems to agree with that, even though the initial money line dropped on Florida. I looked at this, and I'm not so sure. Florida, they're in the middle of a bad run here, which, as you pointed out, they have a lot of injuries right now, too. They're going to have Bobrovsky back in net, so that should be good for them. They used Tarasov in the last game, so they'll have their better goalie in net, assuming he's not hurt or anything like that. It should be him. They're amidst a stretch of 3 straight losses here, but their most recent loss was to a pretty good New Jersey team. Now they are playing a 3rd game in 4 days, 4th game in 6 days, all in different cities, and that's just something I look to go against a team when they're in a scheduling spot like that typically because it's just a schedule that's too jam-packed, so the rest scenario is just bad. It's just not there. Although, again, they will have their starting goalie, their number 1 goalie in net probably in this one, so that's good at least. But I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, they're going to, I assume, show up because a team that's lost 3 games in a row isn't really going to start overlooking anybody. But Buffalo, it's hard to focus on a team like Buffalo, man. And Buffalo, they did just get their first win at least, which might give them a little bit of momentum here. And they've had rest. They're the much more rested team here. They're not traveling. And they beat Ottawa. Decent win there. Ottawa dealing with a pretty significant injury to Kachuk. So they lost their team captain there. Ottawa did, although Ottawa's still a decent team. Buffalo did get that win, though. I know it was a blowout win, so maybe it makes Buffalo look too good with an 8-4 win. But when you get that first win of the season, again, it's like you get that monkey off your back. And I think I wound up being correct about San Jose being the last winless team. I think they might already be that now. I'm not sure about that, but I thought San Jose would be the last remaining winless. But yeah, Buffalo got that win. It could give them a little bit of momentum. You know they're going to show up when it's the returning champs, Florida, coming into their place. So I'm going to slightly disagree with Jeffrey on that one. I would lean to Buffalo slightly in that one, but not a strong opinion. Islanders at Ottawa. Ottawa, I think they're kind of underperforming right now. I know they have that injury to Tkachuk that I just mentioned. They do have a day off here, and they're staying at home. They had a stretch with 3 losses in a row. That wasn't a very good stretch, losing to Nashville and Buffalo. That's some ugly stuff, man. I thought that they would win against Seattle, so I was correct with that lean. They beat Seattle, though they had to go into a shootout to do it. Now they got the Islanders here, and they do have Edmonton up next. So I'm not sure that Ottawa's going to start overlooking anybody because, I mean, they really can't at this point. The Islanders, I think they are kind of a sneaky team, though. I think they're not as bad as their record looks right now. So this is a difficult game to figure out. I don't know what the starting goalie matchup is going to look like in this one. Looks like we're going to have Sorokin is already confirmed for the Islanders. He is their number 1 goalie. Ullmark is probably going to be in net for Senators, so it'll be the top 2 goalies will be in net, which, by the way, same thing, Florida, Buffalo, both of their starting goalies, I think, are going to be in net for this one. So, yeah, this game is really difficult to read, so I kind of then just look to the market, like, what is the market doing? And the market is saying Islanders, Ottawa's down from minus 146 to minus 138, 60% of tickets, 99% of the cash. I don't believe that cash percentage is accurate, but I do think the money is coming in on the Islanders to some extent and dropping that line on Ottawa. So it looks like there is money coming in on the Islanders side. I don't really see it. I mean, I don't see a whole... there's not a whole lot going on in this game as far as the situation is concerned, and I would worry about the Islanders because they did just beat Edmonton, which is a big win, and now they're playing only their second road game of the season, and they lost their first road game, which I know because that was a loser on my show. I gave them out in that game against Pittsburgh. I felt that they should have won the game. I think they outplayed Pittsburgh in the game. They didn't win, so this is only going to be their second road game of the season, which I think is a little bit difficult. They're in a little bit of a letdown spot. Ridiculously enough, they actually used their second-string goalie in that game where they beat Edmonton, Rittich. So Islanders are still winless with Sorokin and net, which is ridiculous. But we'll see what happens in that one. And then Oilers are at New Jersey. The Oilers and the Devils. Sounds, I don't know, kind of sexy in a way. The Devils coming off that win over Florida. Even though Florida, maybe not quite as good this year. They're an injured team right now, but still a big win when you beat Florida, man. New Jersey did it with their backup goalie, Allen and Nettle. I don't think Allen is that bad, really. I think New Jersey's goaltending tandem, Markstrom and Allen, are both actually fairly good. New Jersey, with that win, could be a little bit of a letdown spot coming off of that, although I know you're not necessarily going to be in a letdown spot with Edmonton being your next opponent because they're good, but who knows, man? I mean, beating Florida is a big deal for a team like New Jersey that's kind of like on the upstart and made the playoffs last year. I think they might have made the playoffs one other year recently, but they had a really nice season last year, so that might continue. So this is at least sandwiched in between 2 Eastern Conference games because they do have Toronto coming up after this too. So don't know that it's the greatest spot for the Devils. Nobody messes with the Devils in this one. And the Oilers are coming off that ugly loss to the Islanders. And they're making the New York, New Jersey triple leg here, which is somewhat difficult to do to have all 3 of those games. They at least had a day off between each game, and they're coming off an ugly loss. So maybe a better spot to maybe look for Edmonton here. Probably you might get Pickard in net in this one. I'm not sure, man. Let's see what starting goalie says. It looks like Skinner is projected. We don't know yet, though. And Allen looks like he's projected, which I'm not sure about that either. So I don't really know what the goaltending situation is going to look like in this one. Makes it maybe a little bit more difficult, but maybe not because I just don't like either Edmonton goalie, really. And I somewhat like both of the Devils goalies. So I don't know if it matters that much as far as the handicap, who the goalie is going to be. The money's actually coming in on New Jersey. 64% of tickets, 80% of the cash coming in on New Jersey. Edmonton down from minus 114 to minus 108. I slightly disagree with that one, though. I would kind of lean towards Edmonton in that one just because they're coming off a fairly ugly loss, and New Jersey is coming off a big win. So that's kind of the way that I look at that. I haven't really dug into the box scores to see like what actually happened in those games. Like Edmonton against the Islanders, there was one empty net goal at the end of the game, so this game was close. And the Islanders did have a shorthanded goal as well in the game. And I think their other goals were both power play goals too, so a little bit misleading, somewhat maybe on the final score there. Edmonton had more shots than the Islanders in the game. The Islanders were the way more physical team. Edmonton, they're somewhat of a finesse team, but that's a really low amount of hits in the game. And Edmonton did win the face-off battle, so slightly misleading result in that one as well. Edmonton played a little bit better than it looks, except for the lack of physicality. So, yeah, I would have a slight lean to Edmonton in that one. Yeah, yeah, that's right, exactly, Charles. Got to support the team. Pain in my face. And then, right, and then he paints his chest later because Elaine, David Putty, man, Seinfeld, amazing show, one of the best ever. And then Elaine tells him to no longer paint his face. He paints his chest instead. What are you doing? I told you not to paint your face. Yeah, I know you did. And as you can see, this is clearly not my face. Dude, Putty is like, he's one of the best characters, man. Patrick Warburton, hilarious actor. Also the voice actor and Family Guy for Joe Swanson. That is Patrick Warburton. He's done some other things too. Those are probably the two most well-known, though. But yeah, dude, he's awesome as Putty. I remember he had that other line. I don't remember if it was that episode or a different episode where he's just like on the couch with Elaine, and then he gets up to like go somewhere. I don't remember exactly what the context even was, but he was like, he's all right, babe, I'll be back later. We'll make out. It's so ridiculous. Yeah, El Diablo. Dios mio, it's not a woman though, right? It's a man. It's a male priest, I think, who Putty runs in front of his vehicle, and he thinks he's the devil, and then he thinks Elaine is like an angel or something at the end when he's like on his deathbed or whatever. Patrick Warburton, yeah, very good voice, of course, that's true. He's also pretty prominent in the Twix episode because that's the car dealership where Jerry's there to get his car repaired or looking into buying a new car. So I forget exactly what was going on in that episode, but George with trying to get the Twix out of the vending machine. That episode is so ridiculous. The right ball jacket, 8 ball, you mean? You mean like the Shriners Club jacket one? I don't remember, man. It's all kind of a blur. Like, I'll start watching a Seinfeld episode and like be like, oh, wait a minute, this is also the episode where this happens. Like, you remember one main component of an episode, and then you forget that this other plot line also happened in that same episode, and then they somehow like bring those things together. It's ridiculous. He was buying a car. I think the one where Jerry goes to Putty to get his car repaired is the the swirl episode, the clockwise swirl, the counterclockwise swirl, the pussy eating technique. If you remember that episode, you stole my technique. Or George is the one who does the reverse, the inverse swirl or whatever. Oh my God. And Seinfeld always, like, they do this thing where they allude to what they're actually talking about. They don't outright say it, but everybody knows what they're talking about, which of course everybody remembers. The greatest example of that was the contest episode where everybody knows exactly what they're talking about, even though they don't outright say it, that they're all trying to hold out on masturbating. And Kramer's basically me in that episode. Like, he sees the naked woman in the apartment across the street. He walks out of Jerry's apartment, comes back in and throws the money down. I'm out. Oh, man. It's so good. You skipped the Seinfeld episode? Don't skip any Seinfeld episodes, man. Every single one is like pretty good, except like the very beginning there were some episodes that were kind of lackluster, and then everybody thinks the last season was bad. It's not. It's just the finale is bad. But like all the episodes leading up to it are pretty funny, actually. There's some bangers in the final season. So the final season gets a bad rap just because the finale was bad. There were definitely some good episodes there. All right, let's get into the evening slate here. I don't want to talk about every one of these games, but let me see here. Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Let me see. We'll do New York and Montreal here. Rangers and Canadians. I mean, it's a kind of a big game. Rangers, 3 losses in a row to good teams. Washington, Edmonton, and Toronto. Toronto went into overtime. Rangers off to kind of a lackluster start here. They're going to want to get something done here. So maybe it's a spot where maybe you want to look for them to bounce back. But I don't know, because an overtime game against Toronto is a pretty difficult game. Montreal just kind of rolling right now, though. Their wins are kind of against bad opponents, though. I mean, their best win was at Detroit, and it was Detroit's actually their only loss, Detroit, so far. So I don't know if Detroit is as good as they look, but that was Montreal's best win so far, I would say. And that was with their backup goalie in net, Dobes, however you pronounce his name. Montembeault should be back in net here for them. I don't know if it's going to be Shesterkin for the Rangers or not. I guess we could see. Looks like it's slated to be Shesterkin, but not confirmed. Montreal coming off back-to-back overtime games themselves, but against bad teams. So both teams coming off overtime games. What do you do with this game? I'm just talking about it because it's a big game on tap here. Rangers are taking the money, 55% of tickets, 81% of the cash. Montreal down from -119 to -115 on the money line. I don't really have a strong reason to disagree with the Rangers side in that one. I think they kind of need the game more at this point. Montreal, based on their record, maybe looks a little bit better than they actually are. Not a difficult schedule for them so far, whereas the Rangers have had a more difficult schedule, so they're more battle-tested, and their record makes them look worse than they actually are. So, yeah, I mean, maybe I will slightly lean to the Rangers in that one. What else do we want to talk about here? I'm going to have a play in these next 2 games, Tampa and Dallas, those 2 games. I'll talk about my Boston Bruins just because I always do, because it's tradition. But I don't think they're going to win against Colorado. Colorado's off to a good start, 4-0-1. Obviously, their only loss is a shootout loss on the at home against Dallas, which we lost that game on the show. We had Colorado in that game. Good start for Colorado, although besides the Dallas game, the best opponent that they've faced, their biggest win was at LA. So they've faced a somewhat weak slate of opponents as well. Facing the Bruins here. Colorado's actually returning home from Buffalo and Columbus, so it's actually a return home spot for Colorado, even though they weren't on the road for that long. But I do talk about that. When a team goes on the road, they come back home. They have stuff to do back at home, kind of get distracted a little bit. Boston, I know they're a big-name team, though, and they do have a winning record still, so maybe they won't totally overlook the Bruins here. And it wasn't the longest of road trips either. Bruins have lost 2 games in a row now against good teams, Tampa and Vegas. So, I mean, I don't know what else I was going to say about that, but they're coming off a difficult game against Vegas, man. The Bruins were able to cover the puck line there for that lean that I gave out on the show. Didn't win. Now they have to go into elevation 2 days later. It's not the easiest spot for the Bruins either. The money is actually coming in on the Bruins side, though, as far as I saw. Colorado went up from -235 to -252. Bruins getting massively disrespected in the market. They're still considered to be one of the worst teams in hockey, which I don't know if they are. I kind of think they might be more of a mediocre team. Colorado is one of the best teams. 75% of tickets on them. 87% of the cash coming in on Boston, though. So the professional money has been coming in on Boston in some of these games. Maybe thinking the Bruins are maybe a little bit underrated right now. Maybe that's the case. So that is the way that the money's coming in on that one. We will see what happens. Last season has some of the most memorable. The last season has the Frogger episode, I think, right? And the Calzone episode might be in it too. I don't know. I forget. Carolina at LA. This was almost a play for me. I lean to LA in this one. Carolina off to a really good start, 4-0. No losses, no overtime losses yet. Their backup goalie, by the way, is named Bussy, which is great. You gotta slip the puck in through the Bussy, man. That's what you gotta do. Anderson is their main goalie, though, and he's probably going to be in net again in this one. But Carolina hasn't had a difficult schedule so far. Their best win is against New Jersey. And then since then, they've only played Philadelphia, San Jose, and Anaheim. Not good teams. They're in the middle of a road trip here, but they're only going from Anaheim to LA, so it is a short road trip leg here. Although they do have Vegas and Colorado coming up after this, and Dallas. So the least of those remaining games here is really this LA one. As the next three opponents they have are all better opponents than the Kings, even though I think the Kings are pretty good, and they were really good at home last year, but the Kings are off to not a very good start. 1-3-1 here, but they've faced a much more difficult schedule. They faced Colorado, Vegas, winning that one in a shootout, Winnipeg, Minnesota, those three games all on the road, losing in a shootout there. And then they had their worst loss of the season last time out against Pittsburgh. That was with their backup goalie in net, Forsberg. And that loss, by the way, was not what it looked like. If you dig into the box score here, LA outshot Pittsburgh in the game, had more shots. They had way more hits, 23-13. They had 61% of the faceoffs. How did they lose the game? I don't know, man. They gave up a shorthanded goal that gave up the lead, and then they gave up an empty net at the end. So LA played a lot better in that game than it looked on the scoreboard, and they were very good at home last year. So you know what? Let's add a play here on the fly. You know what? I'm feeling it. I like LA in this one. This was the first one that I had left off my card, but the scheduling that we've had so far, I mean, yeah, Carolina's definitely good, and they are the better of these two teams, but LA is very battle-tested. Much, much more difficult schedule so far. And that last game they played was just, they shouldn't have lost that game based on it, what happened in the game statistically. Looking at this, Carolina, they're up from minus 126 to minus 142, but they're public, 78% of tickets, only 69% of the cash. Nice. So the cash looks like it is coming in against Carolina. I think we're going to get a pretty decent underdog price here. Let me look real quick on this. So we're going to wind up with 3 hockey plays. I'm not able to control myself here, I guess, man. Let me see. We can get plus 126 on it. I mean, it's an underdog price. Yeah, why not? Let's fucking do it. Fire on it. LA Kings will be an extra play here for you at plus 126. There you go. I kind of like it. We'll take LA. And then let's go to, even though I do think generally Carolina is the better team, the odds makers are telling you that. And then that's about it. I mean, actually, Vegas-Calgary kind of interesting because I think Vegas, I don't necessarily love the spot that Vegas is in. They don't have a regulation loss yet. They just beat Boston, which I think Boston still carries a lot of weight behind their name. Vegas used Schmidt in those 2 games, so I don't know if Aiden Hill is hurt or what's going on there. So I don't know what's going on with Vegas' goaltending situation, although I don't really love either of those goalies, to be honest. They got this bad Calgary team coming in, but Vegas did just beat Calgary on the 14th in Calgary, so it's a quick road revenge spot, which is something that I look for in hockey. When a team just lost on their home ice to a team and then they get to go repay the favor to that team, you want to look to that road team and that road reversal revenge angle when it's a really quick road revenge spot like this. So that's a reason to look for Calgary here. And Vegas is also potentially looking ahead to facing Carolina, Florida, Tampa Bay, Carolina, Colorado, Detroit, Tampa Bay. All their upcoming opponents are all opponents that are, I think, just better opponents than Calgary is. So they might overlook Calgary in this one. So I would lean to Calgary in this game. I don't think I could quite stomach it. Calgary coming off a real ugly loss against Utah. They've had 2 days off, and they probably will have Wolf back in net here because they've had multiple days off here. So you will get that. Calgary has not won since their opener, which was a big win at Edmonton, which we got right on the show. Yeah, I would lean to Calgary in this one. Vegas is up from minus 225 to minus 230. I would grab Calgary on the puck line or something if I was going to play that game. I won't quite get there with that one, but that is one that I would, I would lean that way. I think the road revenge angle is solid. And then Pittsburgh, by the way, as I just pointed out, that game against LA where Pittsburgh won with shorthanded goal and then empty net goal at the end, they got outplayed by LA. So I don't think Pittsburgh is in a very good spot. They're not that good of a team. People might still think they're kind of good. Oh, Sidney Crosby scored that empty net goal, man. I don't know. I mean, he's ridiculously old now. Maybe this is the spot where San Jose will get their first win, man. I'm usually good at calling those like streak busters. Maybe it'll be here because that Pittsburgh win over LA was kind of bullshit. And it was a big win over an LA team that was pretty good last year. San Jose still winless, although 2 of their losses are in overtime. They're coming off an ugly loss against Utah, but that was yesterday. So San Jose is on a back-to-back. So that's a little bit ugly as far as that's concerned. They're on the back-to-back. So I don't know if I can quite get there with San Jose. I might slightly lean that way. The money's coming in on Pittsburgh, up from -135 to -145. 50% of tickets, 65% in the cash on Pittsburgh. So the money's coming in on Pittsburgh. I don't really agree with it. I would not be shocked if San Jose actually finally gets a win here. But that remains to be seen. I don't want to play on San Jose on a back-to-back, though. A couple of teams are on back-to-backs today, which are Tampa Bay, Minnesota, and San Jose. I think those 3 teams are on back-to-backs today. I didn't talk about Minnesota. They are on a back-to-back. If you want me to mention that briefly, Philadelphia coming off that loss that we got correct on the show with Winnipeg. Philadelphia was coming off that big win over Florida. I think Philadelphia is a pretty bad team. They are staying at home. Maybe they'll try to bounce back after that win over that loss to Winnipeg. Minnesota coming off some ugly losses to Dallas and Washington, though. But those are good teams, Dallas and Washington. So you can't really blame Minnesota for losing those. I think Minnesota is just kind of a mediocre team. But Minnesota on the back-to-back does make it a bit difficult for them. The money's coming in on the Flyers in that game, up from -105 to -113. 50% of tickets on Minnesota, 58% of the cash on Philadelphia. I do think the scheduling spot is better for Philadelphia as far as the fact that they have rest coming into that game, so they're the more rested team. So that basically, I think, is why, for the most part, the money's coming in on them. Other than I think Minnesota just was very overrated last year, and maybe they will continue to be this year. Jeffrey, you like Wolf there. I forget what his first name is. Yeah, Wolf. I mean, his name just sounds kind of ferocious. Let's get into the rest of my best bets here, and then I'll reiterate my college ones, and then we'll get out of here. Let's do it, man. All right, so I already mentioned the first one, which was the LA Kings at +126. We're also going to go with the St. Louis Blues +105. I know we're fading Dallas. I know I'm 0-2 fading Dallas so far, but I'm going to do it again here. We're going to have both teams with their starting goalies in net here, I think almost definitively. We're going to have Ottinger for Dallas. I don't see it here, but I think it's almost definitive that we're going to have Ottinger for Dallas, and we're going to have Binnington for St. Louis here. Dallas took their first loss of the season. Yes, it was with DeSmith in net and not Ottinger, so they are undefeated with Ottinger in net. They've faced a somewhat difficult schedule so far. I get all that, but they're going back out on the road here, and on the road, they've only won each game by 1 goal, so their road opponents have competed against some of the Winnipeg and Colorado, both better than St. Louis, but St. Louis isn't bad. I mean, they're still a competitive team. The fact that Dallas just took their first loss, I think that can kind of result in a bit of a hangover spot. And they have to take this one trip up to St. Louis. These one-game road trips are usually kind of weird. It's either it seems to be like either you're supremely focused or you're just not focused at all. I know they don't have a big game up next against Columbus, but I think that first loss can put them in a hangover spot. And I think St. Louis is going to be in a very, very foul mood here. I think they might be undervalued a little bit here. St. Louis did beat Vancouver, which I do kind of worry about that because people might say, oh, St. Louis beat Vancouver who beat Dallas. That means St. Louis should be able to beat Dallas here. I don't like that line of handicapping, but I don't just immediately, fade that sentiment every time. St. Louis has had 2 days off with no travel, so they have the much better rest and travel spot here. And they're coming off a horrendous loss. They lost 8-3 at home to Chicago. But remember, that was a bad spot. I talked about that. St. Louis was returning home from a bit of a road trip there, and they had this Dallas game up next. So I thought they were going to get caught in kind of a sandwich spot. They did. They had Hoffer in net, which is their lesser goalie. So they will have Binnington back in net here. I know Binnington wasn't good against Minnesota in his first game. Binnington, he's a roller coaster, man. He's either really good or terrible, basically. So we'll see which Binnington we get here. But I think it's the St. Louis spot. They have the better rest scenario. They're in the better spot scheduling-wise. That is such an ugly loss, giving up 8 goals at home to Chicago. They got to bounce back from that. Dallas looks too easy to take Dallas. They're down from -135 to -118. It's basically like a pick-the-winner price. So, if the public gets involved here, they're only going to be taking Dallas. 67% of tickets, only 56% of the cash on Dallas. So they're public with less than the money on them. We'll roll with St. Louis in that one. And then we got one more here. Best bets, hell yeah. Hopefully these aren't shitty bets. And then last one, we're going back to the BJs, the Columbus Blue Jackets. So we got Blues and Blue Jackets. Blues Clues. I know I also lost going with the Blue Jackets the last time out, and I think that was kind of a bullshit loss, but we're going to do it. We're fading Tampa Bay. They're playing on the second of a back-to-back, which I don't think is a very good spot. The money is saying Columbus. They flipped Columbus from a plus 102 dog to a minus 112 favorite. Best I saw was minus 115 out there, but it's basically a pick-the-winner price, so I would still go with it. 70% of the cash on Columbus with 60% of the tickets on Tampa Bay. So the money's coming in on Columbus, even though the public wants Tampa Bay. The public still considers Tampa Bay to be a good team, and they're right. Tampa Bay is a good team despite their kind of iffy start to the season, but Columbus has a terrible record so far. Columbus has lost both of their home games in regulation so far, so nobody's going to want anything to do with Columbus here, but I'm going to do it. Tampa Bay coming into this game, losing 2 straight overtime games on the road, and now they're playing a fourth straight road game, and they're doing that in a span of, 6 days? They're playing 4. Yeah, they played a back-to-back, had a day off, and then another back-to-back. So they're playing, or had 2 days off, and then another back-to-back. So they're playing 4 games in 6 days, 2 back-to-backs. It's kind of ridiculous, man. And the last 2 of those games, including yesterday, were overtime games. So this is a bad rest spot for Tampa Bay, man. They don't have a look ahead. They have a lot of days off after this before they play Chicago, though. So maybe they're looking a little bit ahead to that semi-bye there where they have like 4 days off after this. I think it's a bad spot for them. Don't know what they're even going to do in net. Well, it looks like they're going with probably Johansson in net. So they're going to be using their worst goalie here as Vasilevsky as their starting goalie. Although hilariously, Johansson was the goalie in their only win against Boston. But you remember I gave out Tampa as a play in that game. I thought Tampa was in a good spot to get that win. It was that record disparity where Tampa was actually the better team despite having the worst record. They got the job done. They didn't cover on the puck line, though, which I should have gone with Tampa regulation. Then it would have been a winner on the whole bet there. Hilariously, yeah, Johansson was the goalie in that one, but it's not exactly like he was amazing in the game. He's still the lesser goalie between him and Vasilevsky, so you're going to get Johansson in net here. It's a bad rest spot for Tampa Bay. I don't like it. Columbus coming in. I think Columbus is going to be the somewhat more motivated team here, man. I mean, they've lost both games at home so far, including losing to Colorado a couple of days ago, 4-1. They're only playing their 3rd game over the same span of time that Tampa Bay is playing their 4th. So Columbus is much more rested. They had multiple days off before that Colorado game. They lost pretty badly in that Colorado game. It looks like they're slated to have Jet Greaves as their starting goalie this time. Jet, ridiculous name. Their 2 goalies are Jet and Elvis. They both sound like rock stars, man, from like the 60s. I don't really care which goalie it is, to be honest, for Columbus. I think they're both somewhat comparable. They're not really neither of them are really that good. Elvis Merzlikins played in their last game. It might be Greaves here. I just don't think it matters that much. I think it's a better spot for Colorado to bounce back here. They're not going to overlook anybody where they're sitting at 1-3. Yeah, they have Dallas next, but Tampa's still a pretty good team. Big name team for the most part coming into their house. We're going to go with Columbus in that one. And that's going to be it, man. Those are the plays. Hopefully you guys like them. The Blues Clues, Blues Jews, whatever, man. The Blue Jackets seem shaky. They always seem shaky. I got a lot of wins with the Blue Jackets last year. They were like they were that like undervalued team that when you picked the right spots with the Blue Jackets last year, they pulled off some like crazy upsets last year. So I like it. Florida Buffalo. I mean, in what way? I don't know. I slightly lean to Buffalo in that one. Parlay Buffalo and Columbus. Hell no. I'm not going to parlay anything. Everything is a straight bet for me. I think parlays that you just don't get good enough odds on the parlays, man. If you want to do it for small amounts of money, do it like for fun and whatever. Yeah, I mean, do it. But like I said, like I'm about like the grind and actually trying to like profit long term. So it's all straight bets. And then that way, if you lose one of your bets out of 5 or whatever, then your whole bet doesn't go down. You know what I mean? You'll have a 4-1 day and you'll have a huge day if you go 4-1 straight betting everything. But if you parlayed all 5 of those, you'd lose the parlay. You know what I mean? It's just kind of ridiculous. Shaky home dogs facing struggling great teams. Yeah, I mean, that's true. It's more about the spot, though. I think Tampa's in like a really, really bad spot, especially because of the back-to-back, worse than the spot that Florida is in. So that is what I'm going with. And then if you missed my college football show, we have Central Michigan plus 3.5, Purdue plus 3, Kentucky plus 12.5, and Syracuse plus 10, which I think it's at 9.5 now. I would still play it at 9.5 probably, but maybe for a smaller amount of money. Let me just see. So Central Michigan, I mean, they're still getting the money there. They have more of the cash percentage. So that's still looking pretty good. The 3.5 still out there. Purdue looks like they're still taking the money. Both of those games with low totals too. So the money looks like it is still agreeing. And yeah, I know you're seeing like a more public ticket percentage on those two sides too, but I don't think the public is really playing those games, which I explained last night. Public is not going to be playing one of these MAC games on a fully loaded Saturday college football slate with a lot of huge games. They're not going to be putting money on a MAC game and probably not on Purdue Northwestern either. So I think really what you're seeing is a lot of those tickets are actually professional tickets in these cases, and you still see more of the cash on those sides. So that is the indicator that I think those are more professional sides. For some reason, it looks like Texas is getting more of the money right now, but they're definitely a public side because they're a more public team. So I think there's more public involvement in this one. And this is an extremely low total too. So I'm fine with having Kentucky plus the points there. I think the spot is very bad for Texas and it's good for Kentucky. So these are all spot plays too. I picked good spots in my opinion. And then the cash percentage is way on the Syracuse side. It looks like a pros versus Joes scenario between Pitt and Syracuse there. So that's still looking pretty good as well. That's going to do it, man. Those are the plays. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I appreciate it. Everybody, Charles, Jeffrey, Lighthearted, Dirty Sock. Who else is in the chat? Is that it? Did I get everybody this morning? I don't even know. Dirty Sock, was he even in here? I think he was. Or no, I think he just commented on my video from last night. That's going to do it, though. Hopefully I keep this going and don't let you down, man. We've had very few losing days over the last, 3 weeks, man. I think only 2 or 3 over the last few weeks, which is quite good. We've had some days where I just didn't have any plays, some that were very small wins like yesterday, but I'll take that over a losing day, obviously. It should have been a 2-0 day yesterday, which if you want to hear my talk about that, I did talk about it on the football show last night, but Chicago Blackhawks, they should have won the game last night. We had them as an underdog, so when I play an underdog, a moneyline underdog, I play to win the same amount that I would play a minus 110 bet, so you're putting less money on it to win the same amount. So we lost on an underdog play where Chicago blew a 2-0 lead in the game and lost in a shootout, which is just bad. I mean, it's just kind of bullshit. I think they should have gotten the win in that one. As an underdog, I mean, you're on the right side if an underdog plays a game like that. And then we got the win, the big win on Louisville, outright win over Miami. The refs tried to help Miami and still didn't do it as Miami Carson Beck was just really bad in the game as far as throwing 4 interceptions. I'll take it. We got the win with Louisville. Louisville probably would have covered anyway despite all those turnovers, but winning the game outright, I'll take it, man. So with those plays, when you have a big underdog, like we have with these football plays, I recommend putting 97% of the bet on the spread and 3% of the bet on the money line with some of those bigger underdogs that are 10 or above, anywhere between 3% and 1% on the money line, depending on how big of an underdog they are really. But on the smaller underdogs, I recommend 90% of the bet on the spread and 10% on the money line, like with Central Michigan, for example, today. So that's how I do it. So Louisville got a nice little extra amount of money on the money line there. Dirty Sock, yeah, he's just lost somewhere, man. Like, comment, and subscribe. That is true. Yes, sir. Thank you, Jeffrey. Yeah, you can tell them about my show. Hell yeah. Thank you, man. Thanks for spreading the word. I'm glad to help out with these plays here. I'm trying. Let's keep it going. I wasn't good the last well, this year and last year I had bad years doing this. So 2022 and 2023 were both really good. So I don't know. Hopefully I think we're back on track right now. So hopefully that continues. I'll be back tonight with an NFL show as well. I'm going to have a couple of NFL plays. So come back for that if it's not too late for you. And I'll see you then. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Like, subscribe, comment here on YouTube. Helps me out. Audio platform, if you listen and review over there, that helps me out too on Spotify and iTunes. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube, so you can check that out too. Patreon.com/LearnToToad, and you can get some bonus content, bonus Uke content right now. So, yeah, that's going to do it. Follow if you like money. Yeah, that is what I should say. Yeah, I'm giving out the gold for free, man. Somebody better stop me. But yeah, hopefully the information continues. The streak hopefully continues. That's going to do it for now. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for hanging out this morning. Peace.